Yeah. Okay, let's go to Monday Night Football. We got the Cowboys at the Chargers. Cowboys favored by 2. The total is 58-15 Eastern on AB. On ESPN, excuse me. The luck rankings have the Cowboys are 22nd. The Chargers are the 6th luckiest. So a bit of an edge for Dallas here, about 24%. And it's the 4th best matchup in terms of luck rankings for week 6. But who do you like in the captain spot?
I'm going to go with Keenan Allen here. Just because he came back down to earth a little bit last week. He only caught 3 balls for 32 yards.
He didn't catch any balls last week.
What?
He didn't catch any balls.
I mean his last game, week 4. I was nowhere to be found last week either.
Right,
so
you took a week off. Yeah.
I had a bye week too. But he did, he managed to score a touchdown to salvage his day in fantasy. But either way, I think he should bounce back with a big game here. It's going to be, obviously a tougher matchup on paper against the Cowboys, but this is a game where, the Chargers are going to have to be a little bit more pass heavy, be aggressive on offense, to keep up with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys themselves are going to bounce back, alluding to the luck rankings. But I think Keenan Allen's the way to go here in the captain slot.
Yeah, for me, it was between, I love Keenan Allen each and every week. I think he's wide receiver 5 this week. But as far as the captain, is kind of between Pollard and CeeDee Lamb for me. And I'm going CeeDee Lamb because, he had 5 targets against the Niners. And I thought Dak was missing him on some throws where he could have let it rip. And, Lamb was open. A lot of people are like, okay, what's going on in Dallas? Is it McCarthy? I mean, some of the route combinations are a little suspect, but I think the biggest issue is just Dak is sped up. He's kind of going like one read check down a lot more, and there's throws that could be made that he's missing. So I think, when they watch the film, they're going to see that. And CeeDee Lamb's the squeaky wheel. So I think he's going to get that treatment against his Charger defense that is 20th in DVOA against wide receiver 1s. So give me some CeeDee Lamb bounce back this week.
Yeah, I think he should bounce back. But did you see the Jerry Jones interview?
I know. I haven't.
They asked him, do you think CeeDee Lamb should get more involved? And he said, I don't know about that. I like seeing the ball go to tight ends. So he's just being a jerk. But
okay.
Can't read it that much. But yeah, I agree. CeeDee Lamb is definitely due for a breakout game.
I mean, at this point, I feel like if I was Jerry, I'd be a little peeved too, because back in the day, it was always like, oh, Jerry's ruining his team, this and that. But I feel like they've done a pretty good job of assembling the roster recently, and now the roster's just underperforming.
Yep.
So, we'll see how that goes. But I do expect Lamb and Pollard, I think, to have good games both. Who do you like for values?
I'm going with Quentin Johnson here. Once Mike Williams went down, we predictably saw his routes run rate shoot way up to 70%. Only caught 1 ball for 18 yards, though. I think he's still a bit of a raw prospect. I mean, he has loads of talent, but he's not quite there yet. So it might be a little bit more time before he truly breaks out. But I think the fact that the Chargers are coming out of the bye, you've talked about that. Rookies tend to get more involved after the bye. So they have a little extra time to at least prepare the rookie for his expanded role the rest of the season. So this is a spot where I think it's a good time to invest in him. I'm not expecting the 8-catch, 100-yard, 3-touchdown game quite yet from him, but he is due for some positive touchdown regression. He's seen 2 end zone targets, yet to convert either one yet. But he's a guy that eventually it's going to happen. He's going to have a breakout game, and it could be here. So I think Quentin Johnson's a great play for the single game slate.
Yeah, and I like Palmer as well. I think Palmer is, the Dallas defense has been pretty man heavy this year. Palmer is second among active Charger receivers with 10 targets against man. The next highest is 3, so it's really been Keenan and Palmer against man coverage. Now Dallas could obviously switch it up, but I do think, as you alluded to, Johnson hasn't broken out yet. I think Palmer is the guy Herbert probably trusts the most after Keenan Allen. Parham is banged up. Everett snap rate has been down a bit as well, although he's been playing well. But Palmer for me in terms of values. Who do you like for dart throws?
I'm actually going with Rico Dowdle here, just because I do agree that Pollard is due to break out of this funk, but he has really struggled this year, at least compared to last season. only averaging 4.2 yards per carry. His avoided tackle rate ranks 59th out of 66 qualified backs. You just have to wonder if, his efficiency is taking a bit of a hit just due to his offseason tie-up surgery. It could take him some time to regain his form. So there's a chance we could see Dowdle start to see, an increased workload. Pollard has only scored twice on his 9 rush attempts inside the 5. You would have to imagine he's just due for positive touchdown regression, but there's a chance they start giving someone like Dowdle some more goal line looks just because they think maybe Pollard's struggling there. Either way, I would still bet on Pollard rebounding in all of these facets, but there is a non-zero chance that we could see Dowdle's role get a short-term boost while they try to figure this out. So I think he's worth a flyer, at least on the one game slate here.
Yeah, I mean, Dowdle's it's kind of, there's some teams where they don't really care who's in the game at what point. And I think the Cowboys have become one of those teams where it's like, if Pollard needs a blow and, they're in scoring position, they'll just bring Dowdle in. And I believe he already has a receiving touchdown up in close. So, he's looked good. He's looked good. Another issue for Pollard could be not just the offseason surgery, but the workload. I mean, in the first 3 weeks, he had 72 touches.
Yeah.
Right. And that's this, he's 6 foot, 209. He's not huge. He's a little kind of slender, not as like low to the ground as some backs. So that could just be taking a toll as well. So that's another, reason that Dowdle could continue to see a role here. I like a couple cheap receivers on the slate. Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys. There's no Kevontae Turpin. He got hurt. So I do think Tolbert, he'll be that number 4 receiver. And Michael Gallup has been struggling to separate a little bit. Brandon Cooks, they're just, I don't know. It's not really an offense suited for him, this West Coast scheme. So I think Tolbert, he'll definitely probably pick up Turpin's snaps, and Jalen Brooks, I don't think he'll get more than a few snaps, but I think Tolbert could potentially start eating into guys like Gallup or even Cooks, just because I think Tolbert has given them a little bit more, and he's improved significantly since last season. So he's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he starts becoming more involved, kind of like remember Cedric Wilson a couple years ago as a number 4, still was pretty involved. So wouldn't be surprised to see Tolbert kind of go into that role. The day 2 pick that they they spent some draft capital on last season. And on the Chargers, Darius Davis looked really good early on in that game a couple weeks ago against the Raiders. So I wonder if he's earned himself some more playing time as well. He had 51 yards on 3 carries. I think most of that came on 1 carry actually to open the game, but he has that kind of speed. He's kind of like a Kevontae Turpin for the Chargers, actually. And he also caught 2 passes for 16 yards on his 2 targets. So he had 67 yards, in the first game without Mike Williams. So, talk about rookies coming out of the bye. I wouldn't, if Davis has put out better film, I think, this year than Johnston. So I wonder if it's more of maybe like a 60-40 split for that number 3 receiver. Davis is undersized, so the run blocking could be an issue. That's the one thing. But I do think he gives that offense some juice. And on a 1-game slate, that's really what we're looking for. Eckler will probably be back, so that's another guy that will give him some juice. But I do think Davis is a guy that they probably want to get a little more involved now that they're down one of their top weapons in Mike Williams.
Yeah, I felt like he was kind of taking over the Austin Eckler role, kind of. In week 3, I noticed that the running backs only combined for 36% routes run rate. So I wonder if Davis was kind of seeing those Austin Eckler snaps. He was getting all of his targets behind the line of scrimmage. So I don't know. I think Austin Eckler's return might, hinder him a bit. But he looked really good. So there's a chance that he at least starts eating into Quentin Johnston's routes run rate, but I do think Austin Eckler's return could hinder him a bit.
Let's see. The Charger running backs played. So they were in on 88% of the pass snap. So they blocked a ton. That's kind of why the rate was down, because the Raiders do play like the Cowboys, a bunch of man coverage that tends to be, blitzes tend to be more involved. So running backs tend to run less routes. But yeah, 88% means there was more like empty or just running
empty
backs.
sets. Yeah.
So yeah, that's so yeah, that could be a thing. But yeah, on a one game, so I'm just looking for some gadget plays at worst. But I do think there's a chance at least that Davis kind of
and he's the returner. He's the returner too.
Yep.
He has a path to touchdown that way.
Yeah, we probably won't get some more Dak picks this week after he throws 3 last week. Because
what's he at on the season?
4. So yeah, I have him under. I think was it 12.5. So I need him to chill out. But against the Niners, you kind of expect.
Yeah,
you kind of expect that,
right?
But and if he gets, don't ever hope for it. But if he gets hurt and misses, which he seems to do a lot, that can help.
Yeah, no kidding.
That is going to wrap it up for our week shit.
It is week shit at this point. Yep.
Week shit in the NFL. I actually like this week. I think it's gonna be interesting. All right. Yeah, so that wraps it up for week 6 of our night shift episode. For more fantasy content from Sean and I, be sure to check out our full player projections episode out right now over on the Action Network podcast channel. Our fantasy preview episode where we break down the main slate is out right here on the Fantasy Flex podcast. ActionNetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy and betting content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. You can follow Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Till next time, let's get this shmoney.